Well, thankfully, to combat Russia and their powerful energy weapons that are causing headaches for American spooks worldwide,
including highly alcoholic spooks.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, who suffer from hangovers. We'll be countering Russia, it looks like, with another $61 billion in military assistance to the Ukraine proxy war, because after months of stalling, House Speaker Mike Johnson has indicated he will move a bill through Congress. He'll have a vote, and it's expected to overwhelmingly pass because basically all Democrats are expected to fall in line and vote for the Ukraine proxy war as they have so far, including the Squad, to be joined by many Republicans, and that will be enough to push it through. And Mike Johnson's been the only person standing in the way. And Congressmember Mike Lawler, who's a Republican who supports the Ukraine proxy war funding, he was on CNN. He basically said that Mike Johnson is finally going to have a vote very soon.
Has he given you any commitment that this vote will happen when the House returns from recess?
I believe there will be a vote when we get back from the Easter recess. Certainly, this is critically important for our allies. We are the leader of the free world, and we cannot shirk on our responsibility to uphold and defend democracies across the globe. It's why I introduced, along with Brian Fitzpatrick and Jared Golden, the Defending Borders, Defending Democracies Act, which would provide lethal aid to Ukraine, to Israel, to Taiwan, as well as enact serious border provisions, including Remain in Mexico and Title 42. And we are pushing for a vote. I have signed a discharge petition to allow for that vote. But I am hopeful that the Speaker will put the bill on the floor or an amended version of the bill on the floor so that we can once and for all ensure that our allies have the aid and support that they need.
And just watch how pressed Dana Bash is to make sure this money is going to happen. So that's all she cares about.
Have you? I'm assuming you've spoken to him directly. Has he made a commitment?
I have spoken to him directly. I'm not going to delve into.
Anyway, and he went on, and so Mike Johnson went on later that day to say that yes, there will be a vote soon. And his whole thing is he wants Biden to approve some gas projects in Louisiana that Biden has shut down, which I'm sure he'll get. And also he wants to, some of the money, he wants it to be a loan rather than a grant to Ukraine. And also they want to just cut. They're fine with the military component of this bill, but they want to cut some of the humanitarian aid for Ukraine. So that's a Republican line. Military aid, just less humanitarian aid. And so that's what it looks like is going to happen. And Biden will get a $61 billion. Even though this is really like a centerpiece of his reelection campaign, is this proxy war. The Republicans, they're so committed to hegemony that they're going to give it to him and basically help fund his reelection campaign. And what kind of difference that'll make on the battlefield, I don't really think it matters at this point because Ukraine is running out of people to sacrifice. They've just lowered, Zelensky just signed that measure to lower the age of conscription from 27 to 25 after prodding from Lindsey Graham, who went to Kyiv and said that you guys need to lower the conscription age. So presumably they could fulfill their role of fighting to the last person, as he bragged about early on in the proxy war. So that's what's happening now. And it's just another example of how neocons in Washington, they always fail, but they always get what they want. And that's what it looks like will happen here.
And what are some of the big ticket items in the $61 billion of military aid or however much they're going to deliver? And what difference would they actually make on the battlefield?
Well, yeah, that's the thing. Amazingly, half of the money, according to the Washington Post, half of the money is for future assistance. So not even anything that will go to Ukraine now. So the point of this measure is to lock this proxy war in for years to come. And they want to do that because they're worried about Donald Trump getting into office and him scaling it back. So they want to make sure that Trump's hands are tied. And again, I'm not even sure Trump would do anything different than Biden. Certainly Biden, when Trump was in office, he did a lot to ensure that this war would happen. He gave weapons to Ukraine that Obama wouldn't give. But regardless, just in case he changed his mind and he actually would try to end the war, this measure seeks to lock it in. So it's not even so much about Ukraine's short-term needs, although this will probably give them more air defense missiles and ATACMS, which they really want to be able to strike Crimea. But the main goal here, I think, is just to lock this war in for years to come, no matter what happens on the battlefield this year.
And I mean, I really haven't seen any of these NATO weapons make any difference at any point. So this is really about what Victoria Nuland said on her way out before becoming, I guess, a professor at Columbia SIPA.
Yeah.
Learn, the art of the coup and,
Yeah.
handing cookies out to Nazis. But she said, this is about job creation. This money is coming back to the U.S., this military aid, in the form of contracts and money and new houses for the contractors in the Beltway. It's basically what she's saying. So it's future aid. It's military Keynesianism. It's one of the few productive industries in the U.S., and they're keeping the big five alive, the big blue chip arms makers. I think that's what this is about. And, you also have the scenario after the Crocus Hall attack in which Russia is increasingly pointing the finger at some Ukrainian involvement. I mean, there are arrests of suspects in Dagestan. They're starting to unpack. The FSB is starting to unravel the network. I don't know what Ukrainian elements, Budanov, Kirill Budanov, the Ukrainian intelligence chief, or was he moved up to chief of staff? Complete trainee of the CIA, complete product of the CIA. He has fervently denied it. And it's a very tense moment for Ukraine, because if somehow their involvement is proven, I think that would impact the debate around this aid. So they got to ram it through quickly before anything else can be found. Although I don't see any evidence they were directly involved. They've committed other terror attacks, Vladimir Tatarsky, Daria Dugina, the Kerch Bridge, bombing the Christmas festival in Belgorod, and so on. And that's what the ATACMs are going to be used for, more terror.
Yeah.
But I don't see any involvement here. But it's still a very tense moment for Kiev. And
just to make sure that everyone gets on board, this was recently in the New York Times. Russia amps up online campaign against Ukraine before U.S. elections, and it's written by the reliable stenographers Julian Barnes and David
Sanger.
And basically, the whole point of the article is that if you are skeptical of giving more money for this proxy war, then you're a dupe of Russia. Proxy warriors are amping up their online campaigns to make sure everybody falls into line. And it looks like Mike Johnson will do just that, because neocons always win, even though they're the world's biggest losers.